right, good morning, everyone. This morning, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at tethering. So, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. All right, so let's get everything set up, guys. So, this morning, what we're going to be looking at is tethering. One of the main reasons why I emphasize tethering for photographers is that it gives you the advantage that you're able to capture your images and see them real time. So one of the tools that I use is a Tether Tools cable connected to my Sony camera, and then that is connected into my laptop. And then I give my clients an iPad where then they can review the images or view them live as they're being captured. So we're going to go through all of those steps today. So first things first, we're over here on Tether Tools website. If you guys are not familiar with it, it's just tethertools.com. They have a ton of different products that you guys may be able to benefit from. They have kits that you can purchase that literally has everything in it that you would want to set up, from wireless mounting systems. They have just a huge range of different things that you guys would be interested in, as well as a learning center. So you can go here and learn quite a bit about tethering, how to set up your cameras, which cameras are going to be compatible, things like that. But what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the bare bone basics of what it would take to do the tethering. So the most important thing that you're going to need is going to be a tethering cable. Now, Tether Tools is the leader in these tethering tools when it comes to the cables starting out. That's kind of where they started. But you can still use a traditional USB to USB cable. You can use the cable that came along with your camera. So you can still capture without owning one of these cables. I'm just telling you that this is what I use. And there's a number of different reasons as to why I use these cables. So like when I'm on location, this orange cable has saved my camera, my gear, many times, because people are walking around, they're all over the place. You got makeup artists, hairstylists, you have the models, you have the people who hired you, you have your assistants, they're all walking around, and it's really easy for them to trip over one of these cables and snatch down, your camera, snatch your laptop right off of the desk. So having this, this neon orange type colored cable can save you guys in a lot of different ways. All right, so that's the basic setup. So if you go over to, like I said, their website, you can look at some of the other tools that they have. Now, this jerk stopper is one of the things that I usually have connected to my camera, and that's to prevent the cable from being pulled out of the USB, whichever one it's connected to. I don't use a ton I don't use anything else pretty much for the most part from their site. Those are the two main things that I use, which is the jerk stopper and the cable itself. But like I said, there's a ton on here that you guys can use for resources. The other thing that you want to take a look at is which software is going to be compatible with your specific camera. Now, I personally use CaptureOne, but at the same time, I do have Lightroom. I have Photoshop on my system. I don't capture with Lightroom. I don't even believe Lightroom is very efficient when it comes to Sony cameras. But even if you don't have Photoshop, you don't have Lightroom, you don't have CaptureOne, or you don't want to invest in any of those, it's not a problem. Most camera manufacturers provide you with some software that allows you to capture directly to your computer from your camera using some type of USB cable or tethering cable or something like that. It won't have all the advanced features that CaptureOne would have, but it does have the basic features, and that's being able for you to capture your image and transfer it directly over to your computer and be able to see it real time. Now, if you're interested in CaptureOne, you can go over right now and you can download a trial. And I'm not mistaken. If I'm mistaken, I'm not sure. But I think the trial lasts for about 30 days. So you can download the trial and you can experiment with it. You can play with it. There is different versions of CaptureOne. So there's CaptureOne for Sony. There's CaptureOne for Fuji. Then there's CaptureOne that is kind of universal. It just works with all cameras. Now, if you want to purchase CaptureOne, there's two options. You can do a monthly subscription, or you can purchase it outright. So if you went with the CaptureOne Pro, the full version, it's going to be $299. If you wanted to do a subscription monthly, it's $19 a month. And then there, like I said, there's the CaptureOne for Sony, which is $14 a month, which is retailing for $199. And they all kind of follow suit for, forward from that. For Fuji and Nikon, they're both $14 a month, or $199, for the full version. So you have the option to subscribe or to purchase the software. Okay. So for the most part, that's all you really need to know about, CaptureOne and Tether tools and things like that. The rest you can find out pretty much on your own. But the way I use it in studio or on location is when I'm shooting, headshots, or I'm shooting with a client. I like to have the computer and the camera connected so that I'm able to capture the images real time. And that way I can see if there's any imperfections, if there's any lighting problems or anything that's going on, I can address it during the shoot and not have to worry about, this is something I'm going to have to spend a lot of time trying to fix in post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you very simply how I would set this up for a very, very simple product style photography. And for the most part, it's as simple as it sounds. So we're just going to open CaptureOne. And I've already done some test shots, but we're going to start off fresh. So we're going to go in here and we're going to just create a new session. And I'm just going to call that test. And we're just going to go, okay. So as you can see here, it already sees my camera. So it sees that my camera is set to manual, and the ISO is at 100. I'm sorry, my ISO is at 80. It's at an f-stop of f8, and the shutter is 1/100th of a second for what I was capturing before. And one of the cool things that you can do with CaptureOne is you can do a real-time view. You can click on this little icon here that looks like a video camera. And what it'll do is it will open up real time, so that way if you're adjusting something, and I'm going to reach over here and adjust this Zoom H6, and you guys will be able to see real time what's going on, right? So as I adjusted that, I'm seeing it real time. So this would be no different if your assistant was working with you and they were moving things around and you wanted to be able to see it from the computer perspective or something like that. So now you see, and there's a ton of different things you can do here. You can do overlays, grids, all these different things that you can do. We'll address those in a future video when we have a little bit more time. So starting out, all I have to do now at this point is to hit the capture button. And I'm going to switch over to a screen where you guys can see exactly what's going on. So as you can see here, what I have is my Sony a7 III connected to my computer. And I'm going to rotate this so you guys can see here. The Tether Tools cable is connected to the camera right here. Let's lock that. All right, so I got that locked back down where I want it. So now if I take another shot, obviously it's not going to be in the same position because I've moved the camera. But if I take a shot now, and let's go over to this webcam view. As you can see, everything is adjusted because it's moved, because I moved the camera. So literally everything that you capture, you're going to see it in real time. So if you added something new to the scene, and then you took a shot, you'll see instantly that's going to be reflected onto your computer. Now, I'd mentioned before another application that you guys can purchase or have access to, which is CapturePilot. And what that allows you to do is when you're capturing things real time on your computer, you're able to provide your client with a version of it where they can see it real time. So I'm going to switch this camera around here and adjust this a little bit. So here's my computer. And let's move a few things around. And here's my iPad. Okay, so I'm going to open CaptureOne's CapturePilot, and it says no server available, right? So I'm going to go down here. First, let me switch over so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to scroll down here to where it says CapturePilot, and I'm going to start the server. All I have to do is just click on it, and then the server starts. And then instantly, I see test. I can see test here on the screen. And then if I just click on test, as you can see here, now you can see the images that I've captured. So I can click on this image, I can look at it real time, I can zoom in, I can rate the image, I can even trigger the camera from this app if I give permission for the app to be used for triggering. But usually that's one of the things you want to turn off. You don't want your clients to have access to being able to trigger the camera. You just want them to be able to see what it is that you're capturing, right? So let's go back. And we're going to take a few more shots. And then instantly it's going to appear here, which is the second one of the set with the little guy. So let me move him so you guys are clear that there's, this is going straight to this computer, to this iPad. So, what you see here, and it takes a few seconds. It depends on your Wi-Fi speed and all that stuff, but the image is there. So imagine you're working with a client, a fashion designer, something like that, and they want to be able to see in real time, exactly what it is that you guys are capturing. So the key to a lot of this is going to be for you to be able to just jump back and forth, for them to be able to see it and say, okay, hey, can we adjust this or can we adjust that? Whether they're talking to the makeup artist or they're talking to their wrangler who is helping with the fashions or whatever the case it is, this again is a very, very powerful tool. So simply enough, you guys can set this up inexpensively, starting off with, if you have an iPad, then utilize it. If you're using CaptureOne, here's another feature that you can use in CaptureOne. And one of the really, really cool things about CaptureOne, and I want to show you guys this really quick if you're not familiar with this already. Let's say, for instance, you're working in CaptureOne and you say, wow, that image is nice, but it's a little underexposed. Okay, so you can go here and you can adjust your exposure, your contrast, and maybe just turn the brightness down just a little bit so he doesn't disappear so much. Well, let's just leave it there. And then we can crop this image. So let's say we're going to crop it in like that. Hit enter. Now when we capture our next image, it's going to hold those attributes. So you can either go back over or just hit your capture button up here, and it's going to capture the next image. And as you see, the next image is already cropped, and it already has those lighting presets done. So even if, for instance, you went in and you said, okay, well, I'm going to really, really, do something crazy, and, let's say he's green, whatever, the next image we capture is going to have that exact look. I mean, obviously you wouldn't want that, at least I hope you wouldn't. Let's get our white balance back. Bring exposure down. Now, this is not set in stone. This is just kind of like a preview for you. So if you go up to your crop, you can see in actuality, the camera has captured the entire image all the way, to the full frame of the camera. So, it's just up to you how you frame this. But if for some reason you're shooting something that requires a lot of detail and you really want to see that detail close, this is a very powerful tool to be able to really just zoom in and say, okay, this is really kind of a crop. And you can do other things, like you can do overlays, where you can do overlays, like for instance, there's going to be something that's going to be printed over this image in a magazine. So if you have that as a PNG, you can bring that overlay in and then overlay it over the frame. So then every time you capture an image, you're able to see that. It won't save it to the frame, but it's a visual tool is all that I'm saying. So let's just take another shot. And as you see here, our most recent shot shows that. And then if we go back over to our GoPro view, switch over, you can see that we're getting those same images coming in. And then, like I said, they can rate these. They can use a color scale. They can rate them via numbers. So if they say they want to rate this a green, and then they want to give it a 3, and then that's going to reflect back here in your image as well. So if you see down here, it's reflecting that, where it says it's green and they gave it 3 stars. So again, like I said, this is a very powerful tool. And this would work just as simply if you were doing headshots, if you were doing product photography, if you were working with models in a studio or something like that, where you're trying to get a certain look and you want to be able to capture everything. This is why in most of my videos, if you notice, I have a tendency to say that quite often. Tethering is a very, very, very powerful tool. So if you have not experimented with tethering, give it a shot. If nothing else, just look at your camera, go over to your manufacturer's website, and see exactly what software they offer for you. Now, there are some free versions that can do basically the same thing, and there's a ton of those. If you guys like in the future, maybe next week or so, we can look at some of those free applications that will give you a lot of the same control. It will not most likely give you the same control that you're going to get from CaptureOne. Now, just to be clear, CaptureOne is not exclusively just for capturing. CaptureOne has a full suite of editing tools, no different than you would find in Lightroom. If anything, it's a lot better than Lightroom. So you can go in and do all of your adjustments. You can adjust your clarity, your curves, your haze, your levels. You have a bunch of presets that you can work with. You have different color effects that you can do, as well as there's like a rudimentary skin softening or skin harmonizing filter that you can use, for softening skin and stuff like that. And then if you're capturing that, you'll have that saved to your hard drive. And if you're like me and you're also capturing to your computer, to your camera, via your SD card, you have the raw version, but these are also raw files. These are not, what I'm saying? These are not JPEGs that you're capturing. So even if you, capture this way and you say, okay, well, I'm not happy with that. Well, you can always go back and revert that, because this is still a raw file. So you're not limited to exactly what you're setting this at. This is just to help you see what it is that you're doing and work from there. And you can also control your camera from CaptureOne. So if I wanted to take this down, so let's say F6 or 5.6 or something like that, and I wanted to adjust the ISO, and I wanted to bring that up to say 100, so it won't be quite so dark. I can adjust all of that right here from the camera. From CaptureOne. Then I can take a shot, and it's going to give me, the results based on what it is that I changed. So let's go back up. Let's do 6.3. And let's raise it again. 7.1. So you see each time, and as well as your white balance, if your white balance is set to auto like it is right now, it's set to auto. But if I wanted to adjust my white balance, I could do that here, or I could use my color picker and I could adjust my white balance that way. You know, the white balance was okay, so I don't see anything that's going to change. But let's say we white balance off of him or off of this the zoom back here, and then take a shot. So there you have it. All right, guys. So like I said, you know, I just really wanted to do this video today to go over some of the ways that I use CaptureOne, the ways that I shoot tethered, so that maybe, you know, going forward, as you guys are working on your projects or working on whatever style of photography you're doing, whether it's product, whether it's portrait, boudoir, you know, this is a powerful, powerful tool for boudoir photography. You know, you have a monitor up, you're taking your shots. Remember, most of your boudoir clients are not going to be models. You know, they don't have a photography background. So you want to empower them, you know, so when they see the images, you know, versus, you know, the back of your camera, you know, this little 3 or 4 inch screen, now you can show this to them on a 27-inch screen, or, you know, whatever monitor you bring with you, or if nothing else, even a 13-inch, you know, laptop is still going to be a much larger image for them to be able to see real time what those images look like. And the advantage is, because you're capturing like this, you could easily, without having to go through any trouble, you know, pick a file, send it over to Photoshop, do a really quick rough edit, you know, just so they can get an idea of exactly what that image is going to look like going forward. Boom. Or you can do it even in CaptureOne. You can do a lot of your little basic lighting adjustments and things like that, you know. So this is a tool. That's the key. It's a tool. So use it to your advantage. If you can't afford this, and I mean, I understand a lot of people right now financially, you know, it's a struggle, but there are free alternates out there for you to be able to utilize. So use one of those. All right, guys, I'm going to bring this live to an end. I will repost this video. Hopefully the audio won't be a problem today. I am upstairs in the office, so I'm using the Rodecaster Pro today. So I should be getting much, much better audio. But like I said, I will upload this video to my normal social media sites, which is going to be Instagram, Facebook, you know, and then here again on YouTube. So if you guys miss these lives, no problem. I will always, you know, re-upload this content. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next live. If you have not subscribed, please do so. If you're not following me yet on Facebook or Instagram, you know, the links are in the bio. So I look forward to communicating and chatting with you guys on Instagram. But until then, guys, stay safe, wash your hands, take care of your loved ones, and get out there and create something amazing. I will catch you guys in the next live.